Hey folks, I have been getting suggestions to do an update on the Prince video I did last year. I thought it was longer than that, but yeah, it was last year. Talking about why they weren't doing a Netflix documentary on him. And so I thought, I was looking at the video yesterday. I checked it out yesterday and I finished looking at it today. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go get some info and see, if there's any more updates about the documentary. And then I stumbled across an article he did in '85, and then some information on Apollonia. Apollonia that played in Purple Rain. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about that when I get back. Hey everyone, those who checked out the video when I uploaded it last year, welcome back. Those who haven't checked out the video, don't know anything about it, I'm going to link it in the description of this video. Okay, let's get on with this. Yep, his estate is the problem. Those who are representing him are representing his estate. They are the serious problem. As I said, I recently checked out the video that I uploaded last year. And I was like, let me check and see. Let me see if there's any more newer updates from last year about this documentary that this man did. I think his name is Edelman. I was calling him Elderman, but Ezra Edelman. And they banned it. I'm going to read why they banned it. Per this year's or the earliest update that I was able to find, the reason why they banned it is because they said as of early 2026, the highly anticipated 9-hour Prince documentary directed by Ezra Edelman will not be released by Netflix following a mutual agreement to scrap the project due to objections from Prince's estate. The estate, which claimed the film sensationalized the singer's life, has instead partnered with Netflix to develop a new project using archival content. Damn, that sounds like a cutthroat thing. Either Netflix or the estate was like, well, hey, let's not trash this so quickly. How about, because at the end of the day, it's about money. They know that Prince he still has a lot of fans, and whatever they put out about Prince documentary form on Netflix or whatever other platform is going to be watched. So if I was Ezra, I'd be upset too. He said it took 5 years of his life to put those components together to create a documentary for Prince. Now, if you ask me, did they sensationalize his life? He said he could only put together what was available because Prince was so private, and it seemed like the people that were around him, they were private for him. So the ones who did talk, it seemed like the ones who were not afraid to speak and who were, unfortunately, allegedly in abusive relationships with him. Vanity was one of them. I think Vanity says hers was more like a psychological abusive relationship with him. But let me go on to say what Ezra said about Netflix canceling the documentary. Well, after the documentary on Netflix was canceled. He said, okay, the director Ezra Edelman is speaking out about the Book of Prince, which was intended to be a 6-part film about the late singer. Edelman said, whatever, it's a joke, he said. Here's the one thing they're allowed to do. Check the film for factual inaccuracies. Guess what? They came back with a 17-page document full of editorial issues, not factual issues. He elaborated by stating the issues with the estate boiled down to control. This is reflective of Prince himself, who was notoriously one of the most famous control freaks in the history of artists. He continued. The irony being that Prince was somebody that fought for artistic freedom and didn't want to be held down by Warner Brothers, who he believed was stifling his output. Now in this case, it's like, by the way, I'm not Prince, but I worked really hard making something, and now my art's been stifled and thrown away. Now I remember in the video that I did last year about Prince, well, it was an article talking about the reason why. I mean, it was talking about everything. It was talking about how Ezra put the documentary together, the people that he contacted, the background things that he had to do, and the end results. I remember they were saying that a part of his estate, I think it was Prince's sister, said that, you know, when it comes to black artists, they always want to sensationalize the black artists about, you know, allegedly torrential lifestyle. But when it comes to white artists, they rarely do that, or it'll take 20, 30 some years for the horrific things about that artist to finally come out. I never did any research, but I do like this thing with Bob Baker, the one who was the who was he, the host of The Price is Right or Family Feud? No, Price is Right. They're coming out saying how racist and perverted he was. But I don't think they talked about him like that when he died. It's like it's just now coming out, you know? I wouldn't be honest if I said there weren't no disparities. Because some of their artists, they like to prop them up like they were saints, you know? And then 10, 20, 15 years later, you find out they were shrews. They were like cruel, cold, horrific individuals. Like when they finally came out talking about Frank Sinatra. Okay, so that was all that Ezra said. It wasn't a long article that he, you know, that they published about how he felt about what Netflix did and his estate did. But I wanted to give an update on Apollonia. I had no clue that Apollonia had to sue Prince's estate. Check this out. Apollonia has reached a confidential settlement with Prince's estate, ending her lawsuit that sought a court ruling affirming her right to use the name Prince gave her when she played his love interest in the iconic 1984 film Purple Rain. The parties filed a joint notice of dismissal Wednesday, but kept the confidential deal under wraps, saying only that each side will cover its own legal fees and costs. But in a sign, Apollonia will keep using the name. The estate simultaneously told the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office it was dropping its bid to cancel her Apollonia 6 trademark filings show. Apollonia, whose legal name is Patricia Cortero, alleged in her August lawsuit that estate representatives were attempting to steal her name. She claimed it was highly likely the estate would sue her for trademark infringement unless she obtained a judicial declaration confirming her rights to the name and related marks. In her filings, Apollonia said Prince never sought to trademark her name before his accidental fentanyl overdose, April 2016. She argued it was therefore improper for the estate to assume control of the Apollonia trademark last June and to seek cancellation of her other registrations and applications in a proceeding before the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. In a statement posted on the official Prince Instagram account, the estate said it had a duty to protect and preserve Prince's assets and legacy while expressing the desire to work amicably with Cortero. The state said it had repeatedly tried to resolve the dispute privately and had offered her opportunities to perform at Paisley Park. Now, Performing at Paisley Park and getting some kind of opportunity or gig at Las Vegas are two different things. Now, I'm not putting Paisley Park down in any way. I'm saying Las Vegas, Paisley Park, you do the math. It was like they were trying to me, pigeonhole her in. Like, yeah, you could perform at Paisley Park, but so far as using your name and the likeness of your name to go and perform around the country or the world, no. Not so much. I would have turned it down too. In a January filing, Cortiero told the court Prince would be appalled by the unbecoming conduct of the estate. She claimed Prince actively encouraged her to use and perform under the name Apollonia when they had a face-to-face meeting after his piano and a microphone concert in Oakland, California in February 2016, 2 months before his death. Too bad she didn't get him to write something down. I would have. Think I'm playing? I would have. Prince. Well, thank you. So there won't be any kind of discrepancies or issues. Can you write that down? Saying that you give me permission to use the name that you gave me back in 1984. You think I'm playing? Write it down. If you don't write it down, it don't exist. Nowadays, if it's not on film or a camera, it don't exist. That's how they do things. Let's go. The truth is, none of this litigation would have occurred if Prince was still alive, she wrote in her declaration, saying she feared losing control of the name would harm her identity and livelihood. It would, because that's been a part of her since the 80s, since she did that iconic film. In an October motion to dismiss, the estate said it had no intention of preventing Apollonia from using the name. Defendant has never threatened to sue plaintiff, the filing said, arguing that any ownership dispute should be resolved by the trademark office, not the court. In an amended complaint, Cortiero also claimed the estate was trying to control the name in connection with a Purple Rain musical staged in Minneapolis and potentially headed to Broadway. She cited promotional material featuring another actress labeled Apollonia, which she said violated her right to publicity. The state countered that using the name of a character from the film did not support a legal claim. I don't like this estate. I don't like it. And yes, their job is to preserve his legacy, is to protect his assets, and which would be his family's assets now, or some, I'm assuming. But it sounds like you guys are just being greedy. Just really greedy, man. Like, I'm sure well, I don't know what Prince would have done, in regards to her. That's what she said. I'm not saying she's lying, but how can you confirm he said it? But it would have been really petty if he was like, nah, hell no, you ain't using that name. If you go check out the video and see why I'm going back and forth. Check out the video I uploaded last year and hear about allegations against him, and then you would see why I'm like, yeah, doesn't seem impossible. It doesn't seem like it's far-fetched to assume that he would be petty if he didn't get his way. And to those die-hard Prince fans, I'm not belittling him in any way. I'm just basing this off of what I learned in 2018 about him and later on. I have a right to have my own opinion. See, that's the issue with people in this world, and particularly in America. We're not supposed to have our own opinions. And then those people who say you're not supposed to have your own opinion, they have opinions. You better knock it off and have several seats. Now, I found this article. I want to share an article I found a couple of years ago, maybe last year, that Prince did in 1985. It was after he blew up after the Purple Rain movie. It's titled Prince Talks, The Silence is Broken. It was like after Purple Rain, it was like anything that Prince did or said, I wanted to know, because I was just so fascinated with this guy. And I'm sure that was the plan after he did that movie, to have people fascinated with him. And then later on throughout the years, we discovered how private he is. The title said, I think I read it right. Prince Talks, The Silence is Broken, September 1985. John Nelson turns 69 today. And that's John Nelson, I believe is his, that was his father. And all the semi-retired piano man wants for his birthday is to shoot some pool with his firstborn son. He's real handy with a cue, says Prince, laughing as he threads his own white T-bird through his old black neighborhood towards his old man's house. He's so cool. The man knows what time it is. Tooling through the neighborhood, Prince speaks matter-of-factly of why he toyed with the early interviewers about his father and mother, their divorce, and his adolescent wanderings between the homes of his parents, friends, and relatives. I used to tease a lot of journalists early on, he says, because I wanted them to concentrate on the music and not so much on me coming from a broken home. I really didn't think that was important. What was important was what came out of my system that particular day. I don't live in the past. I don't play my own records for that reason. I make a statement, then I move on to the next. I think that's an issue that a lot of people have, being stuck in the past and then pretending like they're not. The early facts for the Neo-Freudians: John Nelson, leader of the Prince Roger Jazz Trio, knew Maddie Shaw from Northside Community Dances, a singer 16 years John's junior. Maddie bore traces of Billie Holiday in her pipes and more than a trace of Indian and Caucasian in her blood. She joined the Prince Rogers Trio, sang for a few years around town, married John Nelson, and dropped out of the group. She nicknamed her husband after the band. The son, who came in 1958, got the nickname on his birth certificate. At home and on the street, the kid was Skipper. Maddie and John broke up 10 years later. Prince began his domestic shuttle. "There's where my mom lives," he said nonchalantly, nodding toward a neatly trimmed house and lawn. "My parents live very close by each other, but they don't talk. My mom's the wild side of me. She's like that all the time. My dad's real serene. It takes the music to get him going. My father and me were one and the same." A weary laugh. "He's a little sick, just like I am." Now, I read that in an article that I read last year to do the video I did last year. I read that part before where Prince said he's sick like his dad. I'm like, sick like how? You mean physically, mentally, emotionally? So I'm sure, I don't think he meant physically sick. I'm thinking he's talking about mentally. So I'm like, So then it made me go back to the allegations against him from women he dated or women he worked with. I'm like, okay. I learned early in life, when a person tells you how they are or who they are, believe them. I was looking at a video about a week ago, and the lady, her channel, the lady in the video, she was talking to this man. He was in a parking lot. He was cleaning his car out or something. And I forgot why she approached him, asking him questions. It was just random questions about relationships and such. The guy said something, and then he said that he's crazy. He said it twice. And she was like, "No, you're not crazy." He said, "No, I'm crazy." So, I don't know if she objected again, but I was thinking to myself, I got a little irritated. I was like, girl, the man told you 3 times he's crazy. And if a man tells you 3 times he's crazy, and then when you try to say, "No, you're not crazy, Frank, stop, you're not crazy," and they say, "No, I'm crazy," he's crazy. So that was my point, was I was basing it on when Prince said he's sick like his dad, or he was sick like his dad. You only got one time to tell me you crazy. I'm good. Let's go on. These lawns, North Minneapolis, are where Prince, the adolescent, would also amuse his friends with expert imitations of pro wrestlers like Mad Dog, Vicon, and The Crusher. To amuse himself, he learned to play a couple of dozen instruments. At 13, he formed Grand Central, his first band, with some high school friends. Grand Central often traveled to local hotels and gyms to band battle with other black competition. Cohesion from the derided bourgeoisie, South Side, and Fly Time, which with the addition of Morris Day would later evolve into The Time. He turns up to Plymouth, the North Side's main strip. When Martin Luther King got shot, it was Plymouth Avenue that burned. We used to go to that McDonald's there, he says. I didn't have any money, so I just stand outside there and smell stuff. Poverty makes people angry, brings out their worst side. I was very bitter when I was young. I was insecure and I attacked anybody. I couldn't keep a girlfriend for 2 weeks. We argue about anything. Across the street from McDonald's, Prince spies a smaller landscape. He points to a vacant corner phone booth and remembers a teenage fight with a strict and unforgiving father. That's where I called my dad and begged him to take me back after he kicked me out. He began softly. He said no. So I called my sister and asked her to ask him. So she did, and afterward told me that all I had to do was call him back, tell him I was sorry, and he'd take me back. So I did, and he still said no. I sat crying at that phone booth for 2 hours. That was the last time I cried. In the years between that phone booth breakdown and today's pool game came forgiveness, says Prince. Once I made it, got my first record contract, got my name on a piece of paper, and a little money in my pocket, I was able to forgive. Once I was eating every day, I became a much nicer person. But it took many more years for the son to understand what a jazz man father needed to survive. Prince figured it out when he moved into his purple house. The article was a little bit longer than this. I just took some bits and pieces out because I didn't want nothing too long. I just had flashbacks of the article I read last year, and that video ended up being over an hour. I was like, oh my God. Plus, I was putting little inserts from other material or content I found that I felt would have went good with the article that I did or published last year. So putting all that together, it just was like, wow, this is long. So I didn't want to do nothing that long. And then I was looking around for other stuff about Prince, like things that I felt was interesting that wasn't really talked about, and I didn't find anything. When they said the man was private, he was private. But I did remember the article that I found last year that he did in 85, and this last article is what I read. So, folks, if I hear anything else, I will let you guys know. You know what I might do? I might try to reach out to a few people and see if I can get some info. You know what? Somebody gave me some background information about celebrities, some Hollywood things that I was going to put together in a video, but you guys I don't know how to read y'all. You know, so I put these videos together and y'all don't watch them, and then certain things y'all do watch. So it's like, what? So I don't know if I feel like you guys might be interested in hearing some things that the public really don't know about, or maybe you heard about a long time ago about these celebrities. I might do it and I might not. I don't know what to tell y'all. I enjoy hearing the comments from the people who do watch the videos and show that they appreciate the content. So that's all that matters. But other than that, like I said, if I find anything else out about Prince or hear anything else that could possibly be said about this Netflix document or the new thing they're working on, the estate and Netflix, I'll let you guys know. Other than that, thank you for your time, attention, commenting, subscribing, sharing. It's Karen, and I will see you guys in the next video.